Do you want to start a new side hustle? Well, if you do, I have just the thing for you. I recently bought this 1-inch button maker off of Amazon, and this thing has been so much fun to use. I posted a photo on Instagram of one of my buttons, and oh my gosh, I got so many messages asking if I can make some custom buttons for people, and that's when I realized that this is like a super cheap and easy side hustle. This was roughly about $70 on Amazon. So buttons have a really low entry cost, and it typically costs only about 15 cents to make one button, depending on where you get your supplies from. So I want to show you how to make some buttons for either your business or to start your new side hustle. So let's jump into it. I'm Ashley, and this is Chip Builds, and we are on day 9 of our 12 days of Christmas DIYs. So we are going to make some Christmas buttons for our button machine. So I did get the 1-inch button maker off of Amazon. Just 'cause I want to start with the cheapest one just to see if I even liked it before I committed to making bigger buttons. If I were to purchase it again, I would buy the style that slides left to right rather than this twisting one, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But this is a really easy machine to use, and if there's a teenager in your life, this would be the perfect gift for them. So I did buy this little tool container just to put all of my button making supplies in it, just so that I wouldn't lose it. Now I do have a lot more of the buttons since this kit did come with like 500, but I don't need all of them with me at all times. So I put about 75 buttons in this case. So the different parts of the button we have is the metal backer, we have our plastic sheet, we have the button back, and we have our artwork. Now I did buy this originally to make some buttons for my youth group at my church, but I'm just obsessed with it, and as you can see, I've been making quite a few different ones. So this kit also does come with this little tool to help you cut out circles for your button machine. Honestly though, this does not work well at all. It's kind of a piece of junk, but hey, it did come included into the kit, so beggars can't be choosers. But I highly recommend you ditch this and you pick up Fiskars circle cutter. It supposedly can go up to 2 inches, and there's this knob here, and you can adjust the width of the circle that you want. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better than the one that comes with it. So this is perfect if you're going to use like pattern paper as the button and either draw on top of it or just have it be the pattern paper. I did some with some Christmas paper, and they actually turned out really cool. So for the pattern paper, definitely pick up one of these because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. But honestly, for the majority of these, I have just cut them out by hand. It really doesn't take that long, and honestly, I think it is a little bit quicker than trying to line up any one of these cutters and trying to get that perfect circle. We're gonna make some Christmas buttons today, and we're gonna make a set of buttons to gift to a friend of mine. I'm just using my normal printer that I have to print out these. It doesn't really need to be professional because it's 1 inch big. So the only thing though I didn't notice with my printer was that it did cut off some of the sides of them, and I just didn't notice, but I think it should be fine. I'm just not 100% sure. I did make this SVG jingle all the way. This kind of style of design is really popular right now. So we're just gonna cut this out by hand, and then I will show you cutting one out with the cutter jig as well. You don't have to be too perfect with this. You just wanna really try to cut along the edge of the circle. It's not the end of the world. I did have to make my own template for this button machine that didn't come with one, and so it was a bit of trial and error. But in the end, it worked out pretty well. So if you wanted to cut out the pattern paper, like I said, I recommend this thing. All you do is you set this down, you put quite a bit of hand pressure on here, and then you just slowly push this around into a circle, and you can hear it being cut out. I do sometimes just do 2 passes just to be on the safe side. As you can see, we have this circle, and then I can just put it right in there, and it's the perfect size. So this is perfect for cutting out pattern paper, but it is a lot harder for if you want to cut out artwork that you've already designed. There's no real good way to line it up, and what you kind of have to do is just guesstimate and center it as close as possible, and then we'll see. It's just really hard to get an accurate cut. So as you can see, mine was a little off-center, definitely. There is a little bit, it was a little too far to the right. Which you could just make an extra large bleed, and you could do it that way and it would be fine. I am trying to fine tune it to figure out if there's like a more reliable way to cut out the circle, but so far I don't have that, and that's why I was saying it's probably just a little bit quicker just to roughly cut out the circle with some scissors. So to make the start of our button, we are going to use this side that has this kind of skinny ring here in the middle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of our metal backers and drop it into that ring, and it will sit down in there flush. Then we can take our artwork, and I like to line the top of the artwork to the center of this post. And then I'll take one of these plastic sheets. You do want to really like rub it and make sure that you don't have multiple, because they stick together really easily. So now I have that positioned how I like, so I will flip it over. And then I'm gonna pull the lever down. You do have to do a decent amount of force, so just keep that in mind. And then we'll flip it around, and you can see the button is no longer there. It is up inside here in the back, and so now we can move to the side to put in the pin back. Now for this machine, you do put this side facing up, and then we can flip this around and then pull down really hard again till we hear that click. And then we have a button. It's really just as simple as that, and it's really cool and a lot of fun to make. This is why I was saying I think teenagers would love this. This is a really great way to do some self-expression and just for them to be unique and showcase the things they want to show. So the one thing I don't like about this button maker is this kind of twist style. Like I stated in the beginning, I wish I bought the one that just goes left to right, because it would make it so much easier to align the pin back to the artwork. So if you have a pattern like this, it really doesn't matter, but when you have words, it really does matter a lot. So once you put the metal piece and the artwork in, you'll flip this, and you can see as it flips, it moves that lever, right? So right now that would be perfectly centered and straight. But then when we go to put the pin back in, if we drop the pin in straight and then we twist it, you can see once it's hitting that, it's actually moving it to the right a little bit, almost to like a 45-degree angle. So what I had to do is I had to do a couple trial and errors, and then I had to make some markings with the Sharpie to know that this is where I need to align it. I need to turn it just a little bit to the left to counteract the fact that it goes that way. So it is something to keep in mind if you're gonna pick this one up. It's not the end of the world, and once you mark it, it makes it go by really quick. But I do recommend, if you were gonna do this as like your side hustle, just do left to right so that you minimize the chance of error or just messing up a bunch of buttons. So we're gonna take our metal piece. We'll take our patterned Christmas paper that we cut out. Take one of these plastic things. I think it's acetate, I don't know. Flip it around. Then we're gonna pull the lever and give it some decent force. Then we're gonna flip it around, and you can see that the pin is no longer in there. Find our backing here. Put it in this little channel, and I am gonna tilt it to line up with those lines that I've marked in Sharpie. And then pull the lever down. So I'm gonna pull the lever down pretty forcefully so that you break your phone. Then we'll flip this around, and we have our cool little holiday pin. So these are so easy and quick and simple to make. I'm seriously super obsessed with these.